The Oval Office, February 28, 2025, a date etched in history. President Donald Trump, a man known for his unpredictable nature, sat opposite Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy. Zelenskyy, a wartime leader, carried the weight of his nation on his shoulders. At Trump's side sat Vice President JD Vance, his presence a stark reminder of the political divide within the United States itself. The world watched, holding its breath, as these three men met to decide the fate of Ukraine. The air crackled with tension. The weight of the situation was palpable. The meeting was intended to showcase unity, a united front against Russian aggression. Instead, it became a battlefield of words, a clash of ideologies that exposed the deep fissures within the alliance. The meeting began cordially enough. Pleasantries were exchanged, smiles flashed for the cameras, but behind the facade, the tension simmered. Everyone in the room knew the stakes. Ukraine, battered but unbroken, was locked in a desperate struggle for survival against Russia's relentless war machine. The outcome of this meeting, everyone knew, could tip the balance. Zelenskyy, his face etched with fatigue and worry, spoke first. His words were measured, each one carrying the weight of the war he was fighting. He spoke of the human cost of the conflict, the countless lives lost, the cities reduced to rubble. He pleaded for more aid, more weapons, more support from the United States. Ukraine, he argued, was fighting not just for its own survival but for the principles of democracy and freedom that the West held dear. Trump, however, seemed distant, disinterested. He fidgeted in his seat, his gaze drifting around the room. When he did speak, his words were clipped, impatient. He questioned the wisdom of continued American involvement in the conflict. He spoke of the need to prioritize American interests, the financial burden of supporting Ukraine. His words, delivered with his trademark bluntness, sent a chill through the room. Vance, caught between the two leaders, seemed uncomfortable. He shifted in his seat, his gaze darting between Trump and Zelenskyy. He spoke of the need for a peaceful resolution, for diplomacy and dialogue. But his words seemed hollow, lacking the conviction of Zelenskyy's pleas or the blunt force of Trump's pronouncements. The heart of the disagreement lay in their fundamental views of the conflict. Zelenskyy saw it as a black-and-white struggle between good and evil, democracy versus tyranny. He believed that the West had a moral obligation to stand with Ukraine, to fight for freedom and democracy. Trump, on the other hand, saw it as a regional conflict, a proxy war between the United States and Russia, a war that he believed was not worth fighting. Vance, caught in the middle, seemed to embody the uncertainty and division within the United States itself. The arguments grew more heated, voices rose, accusations were flung across the table. Zelenskyy, his frustration mounting, accused Trump of abandoning Ukraine, of putting American interests ahead of the lives of innocent people. Trump, his face flushed with anger, retorted that he was tired of throwing American money at a lost cause. Vance, caught in the crossfire, could only watch in dismay. The meeting ended abruptly, without resolution. Zelenskyy, his face a mask of disappointment and anger, stormed out of the Oval Office. Trump, his face betraying nothing but icy indifference, turned his back on the departing Ukrainian president. Vance, left alone in the Oval Office with the president, could only shake his head in dismay. The world watched in astonishment as the news of the confrontation broke. The meeting, intended to showcase unity, had exposed the deep divisions within the West. The implications were clear. The alliance, forged in the fires of the Cold War, was crumbling. The future of Ukraine, and indeed the world, hung precariously in the balance. The confrontation in the Oval Office was a stark reminder of the fragility of peace, the ever-present threat of conflict. It was a reminder that even in the 21st century the world remained a dangerous place, a place where the fate of nations could hinge on the whims of powerful men.